because he has an interesting take on Moses and about
How you gotta talk
this.
about a nigga that's
Before you
2,000
play it, let me
years
talk.
old?
Let me set it up a little bit because we often talk about problems. We often talk about how to overcome bondage and subjugation. And I never heard it referred to in this way, in this context before, but they, analogize it to the story of Moses and Moses freeing his people that were in slavery and the approach to freeing those people of a slave mindset and how to do it and what Moses had to do in order to break that slave mindset. Go ahead and play this part right here now.
Whether you like it or not, this is no answer to the ultimate problem which you face. Now, given the fact that Moses kept the children of Israel in the desert for 40 years in order to do away with their slave mentality and to build up a new leadership, he also had to know precisely where he was going to take them. He had to have a piece of land. Now, you want a piece of land here. Isn't there some inconsistency with your economic policy then in this regard? Because it seems to me what you are saying is Negroes should own their own stores. Negroes should become independent economically. Now, is this possible where you have Negroes spread over the country the way they are? You want them to buy land in Philadelphia, and New York, and Texas, and what good is this? What are they going to do? Then give it up and move somewhere else? And what is the psychological implications of this?
Well, first, sir, when you mentioned Moses, you mentioned the best example that you probably could have. You pointed out the people that Moses was leading were probably the closest parallel to the problem confronting the so-called Negro in America than any in the Bible. Moses' people were strangers in a land that wasn't theirs. The black man in America is a stranger in a land that's not his. Moses' people had a slave mentality. And when they were found, they were worshiping gods other than their own. They were worshiping in a religion other than their own. The Negro in America is the same way. He worships the white man's God, and he's following in the white man's religion. The Negro in America is in the same fix, socially, mentally, politically, economically, and spiritually, as the people whom Moses grew up amongst in so-called in Egypt 4,000 years ago. Now then, if you recall, Moses didn't advocate integration. Moses advocated separation. At nowhere in that Bible can you show me where Moses went to his people and said, believe in the same God that your slave master believes in, or seek to integrate yourself with Pharaoh. Moses' one doctrine was separation. He told Pharaoh, God told me to tell you, let my people go. By go, that meant separate. That did not mean to seek integration in the house of bondage. It did not mean to seek the acceptance of the slave master. It did not mean to seek the friendship even of the slave master. It meant that just what Moses said, let my people go. And then he told his people, if you follow me, I will lead you to a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses never pointed out to anyone where that land was. God had instructed Moses up to that point. But Moses never told the people where he was taking them or what they would have to go through in order to get there. He said, follow me, and I'll lead you to a land flowing with milk and honey. And if you go back in that Bible, you'll find out some of them believed in him, but most of them were afraid of their slave master. They didn't believe that they could get along without Pharaoh. They didn't believe anybody could give them a job if Pharaoh didn't. They didn't believe anybody could put clothes on their back if Pharaoh. That's a slave mentality. They didn't believe that they could have an economic system free of pharaohs. That's a slave mentality. And today, the same problem confronts the so-called Negro here in America, and the same problem confronts the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The same opposition that was put in the path of Moses is put in the path of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad today. If you notice, Pharaoh himself never opposed Moses. He always got magicians to oppose Moses. Today, you find your modern slave master. You don't find him opposing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he gets Negro, so-called Negro politicians and so-called Negro preachers to work a lot of magic in the eyes of the so-called Negro and make the so-called Negro think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is a crazy man, just like the magicians tried to make the Hebrews think that Moses was a crazy man. They get magicians to do this work. And the magician is the one who goes to the people and tries to make them think, where this man Muhammad is crazy, he's going to get you all out here someplace and get all of you killed. But if you recall, and that's why I say I'm so glad that you mentioned that Moses parallel. We feel that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the modern Moses. Sometimes they refer to Paul as a modern Moses. I've heard them refer to Reverend Martin Luther King as a modern Moses. But no one can be a modern Moses until they first.
Well, actually, play that last part. Let them finish that last part out.
Find out what did the ancient Moses do, and he advocated separation, not integration. He advocated complete separation, not integration, and he didn't advocate passive resistance. He advocated an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. What kind of teaching is it when you tell a slave to pray for those who despitefully use you, and it's the slave master who's despitefully using the slave? Love your enemy, and it's the slave master who's an enemy of the slave. As long as you teach a man that kind of philosophy and he eats it up, he'll remain a slave.
Yeah, but you see, I am a great advocate.
Pause it. All facts, all shit we can look at today and point to it, be like, yep, I see it. I don't know. Can y'all?
Yeah. Anything he said was shit pretty fucking spot on. Like weaving, they keep finding ways to try to implement that turning of the cheek trick, but separation is needed.
Separation is needed. He said Pharaoh never opposed Moses. Y'all got musicians to oppose Moses. Sounds like a lot of celebrities I know. Yes, because it's the modern day distractions as opposed to you being focused on the things that you need to focus on in the Ice Cube contract with Black America. I'll bring these musicians on to totally obscure your focus from what this man is talking about to this man trying to grift y'all. He trying to get y'all. He trying to sucker y'all. You don't know what you're finna get. You gonna mess around and get Trump. Oh, you don't know the trouble you gonna have with Trump. You're not different than that person. You want me to fear the unknown as though it's going to be worse than the reality of you. And when we wake up and understand that ain't an absolute truth, we can make some shit happen. Just because we're fearful of some shit doesn't mean that it is the wrong thing for us to do. Mr. What the fuck is his name? Rustin. He said something that I disagree with. He said that when you lead the people out of something that they shouldn't be in, you have to have a place for them to go. You have to know where you're going. And when Moses led them, he had a place. Moses didn't have a place. He didn't have a place. He had an ideal. I'm gonna lead y'all to the land of milk and honey, but he didn't know where the fuck that was. To my recollection, he led them out of Pharaoh's rule through a sea to the other side, and they wandered the desert for 40 years because they didn't know where they were going. They didn't know where they were going. Even if he knew, he didn't tell them exactly where they were going to be. They wandered, but they knew. But it was what they needed to do in order to escape the situation they were in.
Hey,
which was worse.
Somebody mapped the goddamn actual walk of Moses. It was 7 kilometers.
Hey, look.
That nigga just walked in a circle for 40 years.
What the fuck were they doing for 40 years? They said that shit should have took 2.5 hours tops.
Hey, look. You thinking it was just a straight walk, fam? It was a walk. It was a lot of talking. It was hey, but where we going no more? Hey, look. The guy with the tablets told me to tell y'all to shut the fuck up and meander around this motherfucker. Get your steps in. Don't worry about it. I mean, it might have been 7 kilometers, but it's not about. I think what they talking about is that it wasn't necessarily a journey of distance. It was a journey of mentality. They wandered and meandered around for 40 years, trying to find themselves. And then once they found themselves, they were able to cross over to the land of milk and honey. The only one of those wanderers that didn't get over into the land, ironically, was Moses. Because he wasn't, I mean, that's what it say. Moses didn't get to cross over because he was disobedient. Motherfucker knocked twice. Man, Joe, don't get me to saying it's a bogus rule. But I think the motherfucker should have had a do-over. 40 years, and because he hit the stone twice, not you. Kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I think there was a transformation. There was a self-searching, an establishment of their own fortitude that they got in that desert. I think that the Bible is not supposed to be literal, it's supposed to be metaphorical. So 40 years of wandering, 40 years of self-searching, finding oneself, and then being prepared to actually rest in your reward is the thing. We as a people haven't, I don't think, done that to a degree. We've done it, we've struggled with it for a little bit, and then we stop. But not for 40 years.
So,
metaphorically, 40 years, not a literal 40 years.
So I'm gonna get this shit correct. 200 or so Jews stood in the sun, and it was like, we ain't the problem for 40 minutes. So it ain't really the literal story we need to pay attention to. It ain't the journey. It was a metaphorical. This is a Boca Raton. This is an old retirement home full of Jews.
No, the metaphor is that they separated themselves from their captor, and that's how they were able to find themselves and ultimately overcome and prosper and live lives in prosperity, as opposed to servitude. And sometimes you have to have the discipline of struggle and of toil and of search and work to find or establish yourself absent of your captor. You can't do it in the presence of that person. And what Malcolm was saying a lot of was, how you expect a motherfucker that's whooping your ass to come help you when they whooping your ass? He ain't say it like that, but that's the sentiment.
I was really hoping you did.
Say what?
I was really hoping you said toil and trouble. I was really hoping you did.
He said, I wonder if they didn't do the 40 years and went straight from slavery to the promised land, would they have just simply brought the old stuff to the new land? Ideally, yeah. But technically, the way it worked was they couldn't find, they were searching for it for 40 years. It wasn't like it was just, oh no, it was a 40-year trip. We know it's there. 40 years we'll get there. They didn't know where it was. And it's about the journey, however long it takes, not necessarily the distance. The journey took 40 years for self-discovery of a people to find worth of self. Metaphorical 20, actual 20, whatever it is. But that's the story that you're supposed to take from it. That's what we as a people are supposed to take from that. What they call those shit? Allegories?
Um, Not quite fables, but God damn it, I can't think of the fucking
Whatever the
for it right
name
now.
is for the story is where the motherfuckers go
Fucking
on the
blasphemous, you assholes.
Parables.
That was blasphemous, you assholes. These things really happen.
hey, look, maybe. Hey, look, I don't know what to say. Maybe, maybe not. Is what it is. But if we're gonna if we're gonna lean so much on our faith and our religion and our Christianity, then just lean on that shit for real. Lean on the figures that we actually exalt and hold up to say, hey, let's do it like they did it. Let's actually go through the struggle and toil and not just play with it for a little bit and then just say, okay, fuck it. Because that's what we've been doing as a people. We go with the struggle for a little bit and we say, okay, fuck it. We struggle for a little bit, then we bump our heads. And I mean, it's hard bumps. Not even gonna hold you. Fucked up. But then we stop. Then people walk through a whole motherfucking sea, fam. And I don't think that we as a people have the fortitude to just follow a motherfucker through a sea. Trusting. I don't know. But what I will say is, hey, look, if we're gonna ever get anywhere, we gotta start listening to people and not immediately cutting them off when they may have valuable information. Moses may not have been the most perfect messenger to Pharaoh, but the message was pure. The message was what was needed. Ice Cube might not be the right motherfucker or the most perfect motherfucker, but we got to start looking at the message, or else we are never going to get there. We're never going to overcome this system. And it's not even a race thing, it's not even a black thing. It's a downtrodden people thing versus the others, the oppressors. Subjugated versus the subjugators. Have versus the have-nots. It's the same shit that this is Malcolm X is saying the same things that Tupac was rapping about. When he said it was the have versus the have-nots.
I couldn't get unmuted fast enough. Even though it was a black queen, even though he was crack queen mama, you still was a black queen mama.
Hey, look. No. Moses' mama. Moses was the original dumpster baby, fam. Not even gonna hold you. What the fuck? Am I wrong?
Drop them bars. Drop them bars.
Y'all better start listening. Y'all better start listening, fam. Malcolm's father was killed early in his life by some white supremacists. And I think his mom went to an insane asylum or some shit, right?
Yep.
Something like that, right?
Yep.
If we didn't believe Spike Lee.
Hey, look. Just saying, some of the most powerful leaders in our history have been motherfuckers that have come from
the rose that grew
questionable
from
circumstances. Roses that grew from concrete. Exactly. Stop looking for perfect motherfuckers. Start listening to what the fuck people saying and understanding. Man, that shit makes sense.
Hey, you know most people use that as a term of endearment. I found a way to completely disparage people with that shit.
What?
Rose grew from concrete. I told niggas, stop thinking you tough because you from the fucking ghetto, nigga. You the rose that grew through concrete.
Your delicate ass. Ooh. Hey, he said, don't they call America the spiritual Egypt? I never heard that.
Never.
I don't think America's a spiritual anything.
Who the fuck is this nigga drunk? He's insightful. He's aware. He's woke. No, fuck that.
Hey, look.
Everybody go
Drunk
down here
is just
and
as much a mystery to us as your name is to everybody else.